Hello and welcome to my video. Today we're going to be talking about 3 mistakes to avoid when deciding to homeschool. 3 mistakes to avoid when deciding to homeschool. But before we get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Carmen Andrea Harris. I am the creator and owner of BohemianAcademics.com. I offer homeschool consulting, grief education, and emotional wellness support for children. A little bit about me. I was a classroom teacher, an elementary school teacher for many years. While I was in the classroom, I earned my Master of Arts in Teaching. After teaching, I went on into entrepreneurship. Life happened, and during my life journey, I actually became a certified life coach and a certified grief counselor. So with Bohemian Academics, and I'm also a homeschool mom. I've been homeschooling my children since 2020. So I am combining my life experience, my education, and just everything that I'm doing in this season so that I can help families, moms, to homeschool with calm, clarity, and with confidence. And also as a certified grief counselor with past experience working with children, I'm very passionate about grief education, educating families, teachers, administrators, school systems on grief, and also emotional wellness for kids. I have my own personal story with grief and what led me on that journey, but I may share that in another video. So with Bohemian Academics, I want you to think about homeschool. I want you to think about grief education and emotional wellness for kids. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 mistakes to avoid when deciding to homeschool. As some of you may know or you may not know, homeschooling, it actually went on the rise in 2020 with everything that went on with the school systems, with public health. A lot of families, I think more families than in the previous 10 or 15 years, decided to homeschool. And after children started going back to traditional school, a lot of those families continued to homeschool, which is a part of my story. I had a little experience homeschooling before everything happened in 2020. In 2020, my daughters, they ended the school year, public homeschool, public school at home, like everybody else, like all of the rest of the children. And that's when I decided to traditionally homeschool them, because I could kind of foresee into the future and the chaos and all of that stuff. So I told myself it was the perfect time to start homeschooling, because I always knew that was going to be a part of my journey, just with the lifestyle that we live, hence the bohemian lifestyle, and then also the academic. So that's when I decided to start homeschooling, and we have been going strong ever since. So even with my education background, even with my entrepreneurial background, I still had some reservations about homeschooling. I remember just knowing that it's what I was supposed to do, but I was fearful. I was having doubts. I didn't know if I could do it, even as a former elementary school teacher. And one of my former coworkers and one of my sisters in Christ, she had been homeschooling her daughters because her daughters are in the entertainment industry. So homeschooling worked for them. So she kind of blazed the trail, and she was someone who was doing it. So at the time, she was offering homeschool consultations. So I invested in a homeschool consultation with her and had her kind of walk me through the process. And she helped to calm my fears and to let me know that, you have this under control, like you're overthinking it. So I understand that if you know for a fact that you have been called to homeschool your children, and I'm speaking specifically to those of you who know that the Lord is telling you to homeschool your children, and the Lord has probably been telling you for quite some time to homeschool your children, but you've been procrastinating, you've been letting fear and doubt get in the way. I'm talking specifically to you all. So I want to give you 3 mistakes to avoid when deciding to homeschool. This is when you're thinking about it. You're really going to take the necessary steps to begin, but you haven't begun yet. So the first tip the first mistake to avoid is information overload. Okay. You can overload yourself with information. I see this all the time in a lot of the Facebook groups. People will come in the group like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about homeschooling. What do I do? And then they get an overload of information, and a lot of the information is incorrect. A lot of the information is not aligning with state laws and regulations, which that's one of the most important things. So you don't want to overload yourself with a bunch of information from people who could be guiding you wrong. Okay. So don't go on a wild Google search trying to figure out what to do and then getting all these different opinions. You need to stick to a reliable source, do your own due diligence. When it comes to homeschool, the most important thing in terms of information is knowing your state's homeschool law. Every state has different homeschool laws. Some states have similar laws, but you want to make sure that you know the letter of your law according to your state, okay? Tip number 2, the second mistake that you want to avoid is doubting yourself. Now, I said that I was an educator before. However, I still had doubts. I still had reservations. I didn't know, like, can I homeschool my children myself? Like, what is the experience supposed to be like? Do I, set up my home like a classroom? Do we just go on nature walks and field trips? Like, what are we doing? Like, what am I doing? Do not doubt yourself, okay? It is my belief that you do not have to be a former educator or a classroom teacher to teach your children. Now, I do believe you do have to have some type of education, whether it be traditional education or you know how to research and read and find out information and to get yourself well informed, but don't doubt yourself, okay? If God entrusted you with your children and you're doing a great job as a mother, you can definitely do a great job as a homeschool mom as well. And there's so many different resources today to where you don't have to necessarily be sitting in front of a whiteboard and teaching your own curriculum, which is something that I started off doing in the beginning because I was of the mindset of just coming out of traditional education. So I literally had my living room set up like a classroom. I was teaching my children on my whiteboard because I'm still an educator and a teacher at heart, but you don't have to do all of that. There's so many different resources and so many different avenues that you can do. You can do a digital curriculum where you're literally just allowing your children to plug in and you're being their coach and you're making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do. And then helping them if need be. I would say that with certain things, you will need to help them if need be, or you may need to hire a tutor if you're not well versed in what it is that they're learning. But don't doubt yourself. You can do this. There are resources out there. There are consultants and coaches like me out there as well. The third mistake that I want you to avoid is false fears and overwhelm, okay? Don't overwhelm yourself with the thoughts of, can I do this? What am I going to do? What kind of curriculum am I going to do? Do I have to sit in front of the whiteboard all day? Is the digital curriculum best? Is public school online the same thing as homeschool? And then all these different false fears of, you may be thinking you're going to mess your children up academically and educate. Like, don't even do all of that. Take a deep breath. Again, if you know that you are supposed to be homeschooling your children, the first step is to make a decision that you're going to homeschool your children. And then from there, you want to learn your state's homeschool law. There are components to your homeschool law. I think there's like between 9 to 10 different components of the homeschool law that you would have to adhere to. So make the decision that you're going to go forward with homeschooling, start researching your homeschool law, and then go from there. If you feel like you're ready to start this journey and you don't want to be overwhelmed, you want like some information in one space, I want you to go to my website, bohemianacademics.com. Once you get on my website, I have a free homeschool guide. It's going to tell you the basics of what you need to do to get started homeschooling today. Okay. I also offer one-to-one homeschool consultations. I also have a homeschool digital course that goes a little bit more in depth than the free homeschool guide. So I am here as your homeschool resource. Not only am I a homeschool mom, but I also have experience in education, and I also offer digital classes and digital tutoring for homeschool students as well as for public school students. So I am your resource, your go-to resource for homeschool as well as for grief education and emotional wellness for kids. Again, my name is Carmen Andrea Harris of bohemianacademics.com. I'm going to leave the link in the bottom of this video so that you can go to my website and download that free homeschool guide. And we'll go from there. So thank you so much for watching. If you are thinking about homeschooling and you've come across this video, I want you to drop me a comment and let me know if you got value. And I want you to let me know, like, if you've been thinking about homeschooling, what's holding you back, or do you plan on starting? If so, when are you going to start? So I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tips on homeschool, grief education, and emotional wellness for kids. Bye.